Marquee afternoon game here, the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. It is 2.5. It is a juice 2.5 in favor of the Ravens on the road over the Chiefs. 48.5 is our total. Noops, two teams that everybody had towards the top of their power ratings. One of these teams is going to leave very likely 1-3. I suppose a tie is in the cards too. It could be 1-2-1, but very likely 1-3 Ravens or 1-3 Chiefs whenever we get done with week number 4 in the NFL. If there's any good news for the Chiefs, it looks like Xavier Worthy is going to be back and go for them. Certainly could only help a passing game that has looked, I will say, mediocre at best.
Yeah, this is, I think, a huge spot for the Kansas City Chiefs. Not that either team wants to be 1-3, but given the Ravens division, I think they can handle being 1-3 a little bit better than Kansas City can. But how does Baltimore respond after kind of getting punked on Monday night? I mean, they had chances to win that game. They had the lead, but once you got in the fourth quarter, I don't know about you, but as I was watching it, I did not feel confident that Baltimore is going to be able to get back into it, and they weren't. So now I have to go on the road in Kansas City, one of the toughest fields to play in for opponents in the NFL, and I have to lay points. I don't want to do that, but I'm definitely not ready to take points with Kansas City, who's just looked like a shell of themselves. With all due respect to Tyquan Thornton, he should not be such a big part of any NFL offense, let alone one that has a great quarterback and a great offensive head coach in Andy Reid. So it's just a spot where I don't feel confident about either team. And as you're kind of hinting, people think this is the game of the day. I'm going to watch it because it's on in the afternoon and there's only so few games on, but I definitely probably won't be totally locked in. I might have my eyes maybe on the Ryder Cup. Hopefully that's still pretty close at that point, or some of these other games this afternoon, because I just don't feel great about either one of these teams. And that leads me to my bet of an under. It's seeing a total of 48.5. Chiefs offense that has looked not even close to good. A Ravens team that the offense is pretty solid, but again, they love to run the ball. This Chiefs defense is still pretty solid. I think they'll find ways to slow the game down a bit. And again, I've said before, it's one of my favorite angles. If I've got two coaches that love to grind away the clock at the end of games, just give me an under. Second half under is probably a good look, especially if Kansas City has a lead going into it or the Ravens have a big lead going into the second half. So I just think, again, we're going to see a lot of running, a lot of the clock ticking. That all adds up to an under. I'll go under 48 for Ravens Chiefs.
I'll throw this reminder out there. If for whatever reason this is this is a loss for the Ravens, you mentioned, like, if there's a team that could withstand, I want to throw out taking them in the division. I want to take out throwing them in the AFC, maybe even throwing a Super Bowl bet on them, because the odds are going to move. And after the Kansas City, you get Houston, a team that we thought maybe at the beginning of the season could be a tough game, but does not look like it's going to be a tough game all that much now. You get the Rams, but it's at home. And then it's Chicago, Miami, Minnesota, Cleveland, New York, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England. Green Bay in week 17 is your first, like, air quote, tough game again if you're this Ravens squad. So, you just go on an absolute tear after the Rams, and if they screw around and beat the Rams, you're not going to be getting the number that we're talking about. So again, if they happen to go to 1-3 Noops, I think this is the huge buy spot on basically every bet that you can make on the Ravens win total, division, AFC, Super Bowl, anything that you want to do.
I love that angle, and especially if you don't already have any Ravens in your portfolio. The AFC really seems to be shaping up like Bills, and I guess maybe the Ravens, maybe the Chargers. It's just there's not that many teams there. And like you said, at 1-3, the algorithms for the bookmakers are just going to force them to push these numbers in places where there'll be a lot of value for us.
Yeah, it is. It's really one of those calendar spots right here. And if they happen to lose, I almost weirdly hope they lose just so I can take advantage of all of the adjusted numbers and stuff out there. Hopefully we'll be on top of it and everybody else will not be.